The moment I met Aiden, it felt like destiny had finally smiled upon me. He wasn't just charming, he had a way of making me feel like the only woman in the world. His deep brown eyes held promises I had never heard before, and his touch sent shivers down my spine. We met at a quiet bookstore, both reaching for the same novel. A cliché, but at that moment it felt like fate. Our conversations flowed effortlessly. He was witty, intelligent, and attentive in ways I had only dreamed of. Days turned into weeks, and soon, we were inseparable. Every text, every call, every stolen glance made me fall deeper. He had this way of pulling me in, making me believe that I was his entire world. One evening, under a sky full of stars, he took my hands in his and whispered, "I don't ever want this to end. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." My heart swelled with happiness. I had never felt so wanted, so cherished. He promised me forever, and I believed him. Our love felt effortless. Every morning, he'd send me a sweet message. Every night, he'd call just to hear my voice. The way he looked at me, the way he made me feel, everything was perfect. He planned dates that felt like scenes from a movie. Sunset picnics, late-night drives, handwritten notes left in my bag. But love wasn't just about grand gestures. It was in the little things, too. The way he pulled me closer when we walked together, how he remembered the smallest details about me, the way his voice softened when he said my name. It was intoxicating. I begged him never to stop. Never to stop loving me, never to stop making me feel like I was his world. He laughed, kissed my forehead, and said, "Never." Looking back, maybe I should have noticed the cracks. The way his phone screen always faced down, the sudden late nights, the moments he seemed lost in thought. But I was too caught up in the dream to question anything. One night, as we lay side by side, I whispered, "Promise me you'll never hurt me." He tightened his grip around me, pressing a kiss against my hair. "I'd never do anything to lose you." I wanted to believe him. I did believe him. But I had no idea that the man I trusted more than anything was already slipping away. Every moment with Aiden felt like a dream I never wanted to wake up from. He knew exactly how to make me feel special, like I was the only one who truly mattered. Whether it was a simple text in the middle of the day or the way he reached for my hand without thinking, he had a way of making me feel safe. I had never loved someone so deeply, never trusted anyone the way I trusted him. We built a world together, one where love seemed unbreakable. He spoke of our future like it was already written. Late at night, we'd lie awake, planning the life we'd share, where we'd live, how many kids we'd have, what our wedding would look like. He painted it so vividly that I could almost see it, almost touch it. I held on to those promises like they were the air I breathed. He met my family and they adored him. My friends envied the way he looked at me, the way he treated me. "You're so lucky," they'd say, and I believed them. Aiden wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my best friend, my safe place, my future. But then, things started to shift. Subtly at first. Missed calls, delayed replies, plans canceled at the last minute. I told myself he was just busy. He had always been ambitious, always chasing something bigger. "I promise I'll make it up to you," he'd say, and when he did, it felt like nothing had changed. But something had. I could feel it in the way his touch lingered a little less, in the way his gaze sometimes drifted past me instead of meeting my eyes. He became distant, but every time I brought it up, he'd smile, pull me close, and whisper, "You're overthinking, baby. I love you." And I believed him, because I wanted to believe him. One evening, as we sat together, I noticed the way his phone lit up, how his fingers tensed before flipping it over. It was just a second, but it was enough to send a chill through me. My heart pounded, my stomach twisted, but I forced myself to smile, to pretend I hadn't noticed. Doubt crept in, but I pushed it aside. Aiden loved me. He chose me. That had to mean something. But as days passed, the unease grew. There were nights he didn't call, messages that went unread. I told myself it was nothing. He had never given me a reason to doubt him before. And yet, The perfect love story I had clung to so desperately was beginning to feel like something else entirely. A dream slowly turning into a nightmare. I just didn't know it yet. The truth didn't come crashing down all at once. It unraveled slowly, like a thread pulled from a perfect fabric, leaving everything frayed and exposed. I wasn't looking for proof. I didn't want to find it. But the lies have a way of revealing themselves, no matter how tightly they're woven. It started with a name. A message notification I wasn't supposed to see. The kind of name that makes your stomach drop because deep down, you already know what it means. I told myself not to jump to conclusions, but doubt had already taken root. I tried to ignore it. I told myself that Aiden wouldn't do this to me, that I was being paranoid. But the more I tried to push it away, the more it gnawed at me. So I did what I swore I'd never do. I looked through his phone. My hands were shaking, my heart racing. And there it was. Messages, late-night calls, plans made in secret. Words he once said to me now given to someone else. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My world, the one we built together, shattered in an instant. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Was it a mistake? Could there be an explanation? But deep down, I already knew. This wasn't new. It wasn't an accident. He had been lying to me for weeks, maybe months. And I had been too blind, too trusting to see it. When I confronted him, he didn't react the way I expected. No panic, no immediate denial. Just a long silence, like he was calculating his next move. Then, with a sigh, he said, "It's not what you think." A line so predictable it made me sick. I showed him the messages. The proof. He didn't even try to deny it. Instead, he said, "I didn't mean to hurt you." As if that somehow made it better. As if betrayal could ever be softened by empty words. I begged him to tell me why. Why he made me believe in a love that was never real. Why he promised me forever while building something with someone else. But all he gave me were excuses. I was confused. It just happened. I still love you. Lies wrapped in weak apologies. I wanted to scream, to cry, to make him feel even a fraction of the pain he had caused me. But instead, I just stood there, numb, as he shattered everything I thought we had. I had once begged him never to stop. Never to stop loving me. Never to stop choosing me. And yet he had. Long before I even knew it. The days after felt hollow, like I was moving through a world that no longer belonged to me. Everywhere I went, I saw pieces of him. Memories I couldn't escape. His scent on my clothes, his words echoing in my mind, the promises that now felt like cruel jokes. I wanted to hate him, but the worst part was, I still loved him. Or at least I loved the version of him I thought was real. I replayed our last conversation over and over, trying to understand how someone who claimed to love me could hurt me so easily. How he could look me in the eyes and lie without hesitation. But no matter how many times I searched for answers, there was only one truth. He made a choice. And it wasn't me. The pain was unbearable at first. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just wanted the ache in my chest to stop. But heartbreak doesn't disappear overnight. It lingers, forcing you to feel every shattered piece of yourself before you can start putting them back together. I started writing down everything I wanted to say to him. The anger, the hurt, the betrayal. Every question that would never be answered. But instead of sending it, I let it go. Because I realized something. His betrayal wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a reflection of who he was. And I refused to let his choices define me. Slowly, I started reclaiming myself. I did things I had put on hold for him. I spent time with people who actually cared about me. I let myself dream again. Not about a future with him, but about a future where I was enough, just for me. One day, he reached out. A simple message. "I miss you." As if those 3 words could erase what he had done. As if missing me was enough to undo the pain he caused. For a brief moment, I considered responding. But then I remembered how it felt to beg him to never stop loving me. And I remembered how easily he walked away. So, I did the same. I deleted the message, blocked his number, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Because love isn't just about how someone makes you feel. It's about how they treat you when no one's watching. And the truth was, he never really loved me. Not the way I deserved. But I do. And that's enough.